Being in band changed me because back in 6th grade I was a really awkward person, so it helped me kind of get out of my comfort zone, and it gave me a family of people to talk to every day. My favorite memory in band was at band camp for sophomore and junior year, where at the Campfire the 2 years that I was there, there was a log that broke, and you just see everybody kind of look around like, oh, who was the last one to sit down? And it was always some really like skinny kid.
Being in band changed me and made me a more outgoing person, as most people say. But I think that it holds very true, and it made me more confident in myself. And every time I went into a classroom and I didn't know anybody, by the end of the trimester I was talking to just about everybody in the room, and it made me more confident, so that was nice. My favorite band memory was, so for the band festival, the trumpets had to use a few mutes, and we had to change the mutes very quickly, and for some reason I'm just really good at dropping them, and everybody likes to look at me as soon as I drop it. And so in the weeks leading up to band festival, it just kind of happened like every other day, and everybody would look at me. And then when it came to band festival, I'm sure as you remember, Mr. Heidenberg, we got to the fermata, and you normally end the fermata really quickly, and then we go into using our straight mutes. But I had dropped my straight mute, so you had to hold it a little bit extra longer just so I could scramble the 2 feet away from my chair to grab it and put it back in my trumpet.
Being in band changed me by giving me more confidence. I used to be really scared to do anything or stand out, and now it's easier. My favorite memory in band, this year we were at the bonfire, and everybody was telling band camp stories and giving awards and crying and all sorts of stuff. And it's all quiet, and I start to hear this odd noise. So I look over and I see Jory brushing his teeth at the bonfire.
Being in band changed me by increasing my lung capacity. I can now hold my breath for 32 seconds. In addition, I can move my fingers way faster than I was able to before. Also, I guess I've become a little more social. My favorite memory of band was when celebration last year, Zach Jork had to change, so I went up to him and told him, hey, lift your arms up. And he did, so I just took his shirt off of him somehow. I don't know how that works, but I took his shirt and he was shirtless. And I saw the opportunity I had where I had his shirt and he had nothing. And I ran into the band room and he had to come get his shirt while he was shirtless in front of everybody, and everyone saw him and he was embarrassed.
So being in band changed me because it gave me more people to talk to. A lot of people say it made them like less introverted, but I was just kind of ready to come out of my shell. I just needed people kind of to welcome me. And so I had more people to kind of yell at, so that was great. My favorite memory in band was probably the time that I did a backwards somersault in the middle of a show in one of our home football games. So what happened was that sophomore year, at the end of our show, we did like a little pop kneel, and we popped down onto our knees, or on one of our knees. And my ankle landed in a hole, and the force of landing down so fast, because you had to land down within a beat, it launched me backwards. I went head over heels, and I still ended up in a pop kneel at the end of it, and still got up on time when Aaron guided us up, so that was pretty fun.
Being in band changed me as a person, because if it wasn't for band, I wouldn't have met all the people that are my friends today. My favorite memory of band would probably have to be senior year at band camp, when I came back from being gone for a year and I saw all these people and I remembered them all, and I remembered how much I missed them.
Being in band changed me by making me more of a social person. I came from a band of 4 kids, and I went to 140 kids. So my first day of band camp was kind of overwhelming, but I was able to learn how to make new friends. My favorite memory in band was in concert band. We were practicing for the Christmas concert, and my favorite song was The Grinch, and I was angry because the flutes had the part that I wanted, so I changed the music to match it to what I wanted. And then one day, H noticed, stopped the whole band to call it out, and I said, well, I can do what I want.
Being in band changed me by allowing me to be crazy with everyone else and just to open up like more than what I already was, and it just gave me a home, and that's how band changed me. My favorite memory in band was doing band camp when we didn't have our instruments, but Mr. Heidelberg still made us perform the train, so we all screamed instead of making the note that we were supposed to play on our instruments.
Being in band changed me because it opened myself up to new opportunities that I thought I never would get, and new friendships that I never thought I would have either. My favorite memory in band was my junior year of band camp, and Sarah Holman brought in a hammock, and usually hammocks are half for trees, but we hooked it up to our bunk beds and we put Abby Lewis inside, and we rolled her up like she was in a cocoon.
Being in band changed me because it helped me recognize that I love playing in an ensemble, an orchestra, and I think it's something that I'll do for the rest of my life, or at least through college. My favorite band memory was junior year band camp. It was like 3 days into it, and everybody was exhausted, and someone's alarm went off at 5 to take a shower, and it kept going off for 5 minutes, and everybody woke up, and when I looked down, it was Abby Lewis sleeping with her phone right next to her head, and it kept going off, and everybody was pretty upset with her.
Being in band changed me by giving me my career path and showing me what to do with my life. So my favorite band memory was last year in band camp. We were in sectionals playing Fat Bottom Girls, and Ryan was trying to get us to play louder, and he told us, come on, play like you like Fat Bottom Girls. And Bethany Robbins, who everybody thought was super innocent, which isn't true, said, I don't sway that way, and everybody started laughing and couldn't stop.
Being in band changed me because it made me more comfortable to be myself around other people. It made me more social, and now I feel like I have a group of friends, and it gave me somewhere to belong. One of my favorite memories in band was actually from 8th grade when we marched with the band in the fall. I was really intrigued by the uniforms, and I love the feathers that they got to wear on their head because I love birds. And so I asked, I think her name was Paige, she had dark hair. I asked her, I'm like, what are the feathers called on top of your head? She's like, oh, it's called a plume. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense because birds have plumage, you know, so it's a plume. And I went off, and she gave me this really long stare, and she's like, you're really strange like the rest of us. You're gonna fit right in.
Being in band changed me because I'm more open and I'm more loud, because I used to be quiet, so I'm loud now. My favorite memory in band was freshman year, Brandon and Jordan, who graduated, I said I wanted like a huge hug, and everyone like surrounded me, and it just turned into like a bunch of people just coming and hugging me, and then we went into the peak and everyone was like, whoa, and joined in. It was nice. I like hugs.
Being in band changed me because I've become a lot more confident in my abilities. Like I remember jazz band for improv, I couldn't even like play a whole note without getting really nervous, and I'd like shake and get all shy. And now I just feel like I'm a lot more confident. And then I remember my freshman year, I like kept my head down, didn't talk to anybody, and now I'm messing with everybody and joking around. So that's been a big improvement. My favorite memory of band was my freshman year. Andrew Norfleet and I, when we were told to find our positions on the field, we had no idea what we were doing, and somehow we found our dots, but on the other side of the field. And we were like, why are all these saxophones around us? Like, shouldn't we be with the trumpets, which are like totally on the other side of the 50? Then we had to do our little walk of shame across, and yeah.
Being in band changed me because I've never been very good, and to me I always try to be the best at what I do. And I realized as long as I'm enjoying it, that's all that really matters. My favorite memory in band was senior year, doing the St. Patrick's Day marching. I hopped off the parade float and I just marched in my gown, and it was kind of weird, but it was fun, so I liked it.
Being in band changed me. It's made me more open to people, less shy. It's made me work a lot harder and more aware of the payoff in the end when working hard. My favorite memory in band was this year. We did like a parade type of block/game where the band directors would tell us commands during marching without our instruments, and we'd have to follow them, and we'd never know what they're going to call next. And when we came back home to perform for our parents, we did it again, but this time the parents and families all sprayed us with water guns, which made it kind of harder for those in the front.
Being in band changed me because I wasn't really shy or quiet in 6th grade, but I wasn't really outgoing, and being in band made me much more of a leader and a much more outgoing person. My favorite memory in band was sophomore year when we were doing main show drill and the trumpets and horns were doing the point of the heart, and Kara was really noticeably out of line in the point, and Joe had yelled down from the tower, "Hey Brain, fix your spot," and Kara's nickname was Brain. And she kind of looked around, she was like, okay, who's out of line? And it was her. And so I turned to Kara and I said, Kara, you're the brain. And she looked at me and she was like, and I was like, Kara, you're out of line. She finally fixed her spot, but it was really ironic.
Being in band changed me because I was such a nerd in like elementary school, and when I was really young I only had like maybe 1 or 2 close friends, and then I got to middle school and suddenly I had stuff in common with so many other people, and so I had so many just automatic friends, and then I can just go into a class and there's a friend, you know, like there's just so many people that I can relate to then. And I've just became so much more confident since then. My favorite memory of band was just this past year. Me, Selena, Eileen, and Jaden were all practicing for our quartet, and we were in the piano practice room, and we were all playing, and the lights went off because it's emotion activated, so like we were all apparently very still, and so the lights went off, and we kept playing because we could still kind of see, and when we stopped playing and we were talking about like what we could do better, then H walked by and he just kind of gave us this look like, what are you doing? Like, because we were in the complete darkness, and then he just kind of left, like, just, you know, they're weird like that, they can just do whatever they want.
Being in band changed me by giving me a solid group of friends to fall back on. Like, I've always been really weird and crazy, and band hasn't changed me at all like that. I've always been like extroverted around people, but with band, I got a group of people that I could, that I was really close to. My favorite memory in band was the Cedar Point trip my junior year. We all got off the Mitchell buses, and Jarrett Deming he got off the bus and he had a coconut in his hand. Him and a bunch of other people just had a coconut with them, and they ended up like throwing it on the ground somehow for some reason, and there was pieces of coconut laying everywhere, and I was like, well, that's a perfectly good coconut. So Jory and I grabbed pieces of the coconut, and we're walking from the parking lot into Cedar Point, and we get up there and we're like, well, we're still eating this coconut. How are we gonna get the coconut into the park? And so we go up, they're looking through our bags and stuff as we're walking in, and he's holding like an entire coconut in his hands, and the woman looks at him and she's like, what's that? He's like, it's a coconut. She's like, okay. And then we just walked in with pieces of coconut.
Being in band changed me because before I was in band, I'd never really participated in anything. So I never had like any leading experience or like experience with working with groups of people. And I feel like being in band really helped me learn how to do that, and like, especially what not to do. That was very nice to be able to have like a trial period before I have to go out into the world and become an actual leader. My favorite memory in band was sophomore year. Alexis Turkhurst brought us all goodie bags, and in each goodie bag we had like bubbles, candy, and kazoos. And then she brought a kazoo that was shaped like a chicken head, and when you blew into it, it made like a chicken sound. She also brought 2 little plastic crowns. So we made a sort of band. Christy and I wore the crowns, and everyone else had the kazoos, including the chicken kazoo. So we played a song, and Christy and I danced, and we performed it for Becky. And then we performed it for all the parents at band camp, and it was so fun. I know.
Being in band has changed me because it's taught me a lot about leadership and the value of hard work through all of my years here, and it's helped me open up and be okay with making mistakes. My favorite memory of band was, like, although it wasn't my favorite memory at the time, in either 7th or 8th grade, Miss Slasher was yelling at all of us to write something in our music, but I didn't have a sharpened pencil, so Kara just told me to pretend to write something in my music. So I put my pencil up there and I pretended to write something, and Mr. Heidenberg was right behind me. He got really mad.
Being in band has changed me because it's shown me that band kids are so friendly and welcoming and crazy, and they'll always be there for you, and that's just helped me realize that it's okay to be yourself. My favorite memory in band was at band camp senior year when we were having a drumline rehearsal in the woods, and I was watching Dalton, and he was trying to jump on this old log house, and he like tried to jump and it broke, and then everyone heard like this big thud and turned around and he was just laying on the ground.
Being in band changed me because I am a lot more punctual now. Being early is on time. My favorite memory in band was my junior year. None of the girls in our cabin at band camp brought anything to like bribe for cleanest cabin to eat first, so we just left our stuff everywhere, basically like gave up. But then it came back to bite us because the Dirty Pig of Shame award was given to our cabin and we had to wipe everyone's tables.
Being in band changed me by really making me come out of my shell and just bringing to the field what you have. My favorite memory in band was when everybody was spreading out so Eric could spray him down with sunscreen, and Albert turns around and goes, "Eric!" And Eric brings it in for like the most sincere hug I've ever seen.
Being in band changed me by forcing me to make a lot of friends and talk to a lot of people that I otherwise wouldn't be friends with. And it kind of made me figure out what I want to do in life. So I'd be kind of lost without it. My favorite memory in band was one time I drove up to a drumline practice because I was going to hang out with everyone after practice was over. And I pull into the parking lot, and Brody Blair is wearing 2 hula skirts, one of them on his neck, and some clout goggles, and an upside-down Burger King crown. And he is on a Razor scooter, and he speeds, like he goes full speed directly towards my car. And so, because he thought I was going to stop for him, but I gunned it directly towards him, and he came about this close to hitting my car. And that's how Brody Blair almost died.
Being in band changed me by forcing me to talk to people and actually make friends, because I didn't come into middle school with any friends at all. I was alone, so it forced me to have friends. My favorite memory in band was last band camp when Joe gave Eden a fail boulder and she had to run through the entire train while carrying the fail boulder, and it had to been like 20 pounds.
Being in band changed me to allow myself to know better time management, to be a better leader in other extracurricular activities I'm a part of at Career Center or in Business Professionals of America. And it's really taught me to work for what I want and that the sky's the limit. My favorite memory in band was when Cabin D was able to be the only cabin in history to switch cabins my sophomore year because of a broken septic tank, and we got to switch to cabin F. And I remember in one night under Aaron's bed, we put 2 mouse traps and we were able to catch 3 mice in one night.
Being in band changed me by allowing me to open up to more people, and because of it I was able to make more friends. My favorite memory in band, it was my junior year, and we were at Cedar Point. And Allison and I, we were just walking around looking at the rides, and this one worker or volunteer there, he asked about Allison's shirt, and so we started talking for a while, and we were able to, he introduced us to his cousin who was also volunteering there, and along with his cousin's girlfriend who was also volunteering there. And so we just talked for a while and it was really fun.
Being in band changed me by making me more confident, not only as a player but as a person. And I'm a lot more outgoing. I didn't talk to many people in 6th grade, and I talk to a lot more people now. My favorite memory in band was sophomore year in jazz band. One morning I didn't get a lot of sleep that night, and so I had a few things of coffee. And so my heart was beating really fast, and you could feel it if you felt my chest, and I had Katie do that and she could feel it, and then H had me do a solo on the spot, and I was already really nervous, and then I must have done bad or something because he said, "Oh wow, she's so nervous you can see her heart beating out of her chest," and Katie and I just cracked up.